Island, the Kowloon Peninsula, the New Territories, and finally the border itself. Traversing the border, west to east, we leave Deep Bay, move along the 22 miles of land frontier, past the rail crossing at Lo Wu, onto Sha Tau Kok, where the border then runs around Mers Bay past Peng Chau Island in the east. An aerial view of Deep Bay in the west shows the mouth of the Shum Chum River, which forms the greater part of the Sino-Hong Kong land border. The ground is low-lying and marshy at this point. Further inland in China, this terrain gives way to bare foothills. The river again near Lo Wu. The actual border runs along the far bank. On the British side of the border, there are a series of OPs. This one is Crest Hill, the main one overlooking the rail crossing at Lo Wu. In fact, 80% of the Chinese territory that can be observed from British territory is viewed from this OP. You can see the foothills rising in the background some 10,000 meters away. The Lo Wu rail crossing complex is in the foreground. The covered railway bridge over the Shum Chum River, with a Chinese army guard lurking at the far end and a red-capped communist porter just like Waterloo at the near end. No passenger trains actually cross the bridge. Visitors to and from China are obliged to walk across it. Many a capitalist ping-pong bat has been carried through this gate. Goods traffic, mainly food for Hong Kong, is shunted to and fro across the bridge by a British diesel engine. Just east of Lo Wu is Man Kam To, the major road crossing through which considerable quantities of livestock and fresh vegetables are brought into Hong Kong daily. From this area, all goods are taken by road to the urban area of the colony by the communist-owned Man Luen Transport Company. The yellow Land Rover belongs to the manager. These goods mostly come from the Chinese areas immediately across the border, but a small quantity stems from the 500 acres of communist-owned and farmed land on the British side of the border. Much of the livestock reaches the colony on the hoof across the Old Bailey Bridge. It was at this bridge that one of the major incidents occurred during the 1967 disturbances. It's also possible to observe a little basic Chinese Army field training at this point, although this clip is somewhat reminiscent of Dad's Army on location. However, we should not forget that they also watch us from their own OPs. Communist territory is now on your right as we move east to what is called, perhaps somewhat presumptuously, the International Bridge. The bridge is unmanned on the British side. It's mainly used by communist farmers owning land in British territory. Note the guard on the communist side with his red gorgets, but lack of any other insignia or badges of rank. These crops, tended by Chinese soldiers, are part of a company camp. It's normal for border troops to grow their own vegetables and rear their own livestock. These training sequences are an example of what can be seen from the British OPs. Not much, but it's worth remembering that this is the only place where Chinese troop training can be observed from the west with the Mark I eyeball, although what you see may be reminiscent of your school cadet force days. They haven't even bothered to paint the stick grenades so they can find them easily. We should bear in mind that there are several million of these stalwarts available in China. It's also worth remembering that border troops are not always as highly trained as China's other regular troops. The last feature on the land border is the village of Sha Tau Kok on the east coast. This is a fishing village that's divided by the border. Here again trouble erupted in 1967 and British troops had to go to the assistance of the Hong Kong police. And in 1971 a British ration truck inadvertently strayed across the border but was returned after being held for only a short time. Although this area must continue to be regarded as a potential trouble spot, relations at the time of filming were reasonably amicable. However, here's an example of a minor incident where the local militia leader objected to being filmed. We end our border tour on the island of Peng Chau in Mirs Bay. The border is the high water mark on the coastline behind the island. Peng Chau is a major objective for illegal immigrants attempting to swim to freedom from China.